The story really started back in 1963, when I passed my exams for university. I was very working class in those early days, but 3 years up at Oxford made me change my ways. So if you'd care to listen, I'll tell you, if I may, how tragedy befell me on graduation day. Everyone assembled in the convocation hall, students and their parents, gents and ladies all. Nervously I waited in mortarboard and gown for the dean to call my name, next student Charlie Brown. When suddenly from the back there came a drunken shout, and through the door came mum and dad with a crate of stout. A coachload of relations staggered into view, singing Charlie Brown in Liverpool, we're really proud of you. Professors, lords and ladies really looked askance when mother clambered on the stage and there began to dance.
Knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, I'm at Oxford now, you know, E-I-E-I-A-D-O. Knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, look at the state of my old mate, and knees down, Mother Brown, hey!
A student shouted angrily, we want our degrees, not a drunken lady's fat and hairy knees. On hairy miss I leapt up and gave the chap a clout. Watch it, la, that's my ma you're talking about. Soon everyone was fighting, pandemonium broke out, but unperturbed Mother Brown gaily danced throughout.
Knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, dearie, dearie, dearie me, now I won't get my degree. Knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, look at the state of my old mate, and knees down, Mother Brown, hey!
The assembly hall next morning was in a sorry state, and I need hardly tell you I didn't graduate. And now I'm on the old King Cole back in Liverpool town, just because my mother couldn't keep 'em down.
Knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, you be so working class, get a mother off your knees down, Mother Brown, knees down, Mother Brown, look at the state of my old mate, and knees down, Mother Brown, hey!
I say, a funny thing happened on my way here today. The buildings had hiccups, the roads ran away. Buses grew here in the most private places, traffic lights chuckled and pulled funny faces. Hot-blooded lampposts chased little dogs, the moon took a hiding from stars wearing clogs. Policemen threw helmets at innocent stones as cheeky boys laughed and broke words with phones. The lions in Lime Street have started to roar. A poet's not safe out alone anymore. For you, everything's going to be all right. For you, they'll redecorate the city, put a lampshade around the sun and whitewash the clouds, hoover the streets and wallpaper the buildings. For you, they'll convert crematoriums into supermarkets and graveyards into playing fields, ambulances into ice cream vans and hospitals into fun palaces. For you, policemen will take off their bruise-coloured uniforms and command respect by the width of their navels. Policewomen will go to bed handcuffed to their teddy bears. Old age pensioners will be allowed into lunchtime sessions at the Cavern for half price. The Queen will head the bill at the London Palladium. Val Parnell will foot the bill at the London Palladium. Maurice Woodruff will make a fortune. Amanda and Macala Dennis will stop beating about the bush. Billy Graham will be the next Pope. Liz Taylor, in her next big motion picture, will pick her nose. Mr. Voster will refuse to appear on coloured television. They will give Vietnam back to the Irish. The Red Army will devote itself entirely to show business. For you, everything's going to be all right. For you, politicians will identify themselves by pulling tongues of blind ex-servicemen. Detective inspectors will identify themselves by wearing SS uniforms. Prostitutes will identify themselves by loitering on all fours. Queers will identify themselves by walking backwards. For you, all firstborn American boys will be christened Hiroshima. For you, they will make adultery an offence punishable by knighthood. For you, they will discover that there's no such thing as history. For you, marijuana will be on sale in the foyer. For you, everything's going to be all right. For you, Sorrow will be the broken necklace you only keep for sentimental reasons. The absurd hat you bought but never wore. For you, death will be the dirty underskirt one only sees hanging from other girls. The randy salesman who only calls when you're not at home. I will hold you gently like broken fruitcake. I will let you come but never go. I will love you forever. Forever, for you. Everything's gonna be for you. Alright? My Johnny joined the army, deserted me without a care. He got shot to ribbons, now I wear him in my hair. Come live with me and be my love. I keep a flat for mating. There's half an hour before the bus. Shall we do it while we're waiting? Poem for National L.S.D Week. Mind how you go. Let me die a young man's death. Not a cleaning in between the sheets, holy water death. Not a famous last words, peaceful out of breath death. When I'm 73 and in constant good humour, may I be mown down at dawn by a bright red sports car on my way home from an all-night party. Or when I'm 91 with silver hair and sitting in a barber's chair, may rival gangsters with ham-fisted Tommy guns burst in and give me a short back and insides. Or when I'm 104 and banned from the cavern, may my mistress, catching me in bed with her daughter and fearing her son, cut me up into little pieces and throw every piece but one. Let me die a young man's death. Not a free from sin, tiptoe in candle wax and waning death. Not a curtains drawn by angels born. What a nice way to go, death.
The New Our Times. 1. At 3 p.m. yesterday, a Mr. Adolphus Edwards, a Jamaican immigrant, was pecked to death by a large bronze eagle in Upper Parliament Street, Liverpool. A US State Department spokesman said, "We have no statement to make as of this time." 2. Police Constable George Williams, who was partially blinded by a £15 jelly baby thrown at a passing pop singer, is to be retired on half pension. 3. Bearded Liverpool couple put out of misery in night by drip oil heater, court told. 4. A certain Mrs. Elspeth Clout of Huyton was killed by an unidentified falling object. It was thought to be a particularly hard stool evacuated from the toilet of a passing aeroplane. 5. 2 chip shop proprietors were today accused of selling ears fried in butter. One of them said, "We believe there is room for innovation in the trade." 6. Fatality in Cardona bomb outrage. Waitress buried alive under 2,000 Danish pastries. This is a kind of Liverpool hillbilly song from the mountains of Egbert. It's called Adrian Henri's Talking After Christmas Blues. up this morning, it was Christmas Day, and the birds were singing the night away. Saw my stocking line on the chair, looked right to the bottom, but you weren't there. There was apples, oranges, chocolates, and aftershave, but no you. So I went downstairs and the dinner was fine. There was pudding and turkey and lots of wine, and I pulled those crackers with a laughing face, though I saw there was no one in your place. There was mince pies, brandy, nuts and raisins, mashed potato, but no you. And now it's New Year, it's all lang syne, and it's 12 o'clock and I'm feeling fine. Shall old acquaintance be forgot? I don't know, gal, but it hurts a lot. There was whiskey, vodka, dry martinis, stirred but not shaken, and 12 New Year resolutions, all of them about you. So it's all the best for the year ahead as I stagger upstairs and into bed, and I looked at the pillow by my side. I tell you, baby, I almost cried. There'll be autumn, summer, spring, and winter, all of them without you. Don't worry if your boyfriend doesn't treat you right, baby. Everything's gonna be alright. Come with me and every poem I write will have your name in it. Don't worry if the factories and villas cover the countryside. Everything's gonna be alright. England will be given back to the animals, and we'll find a home under fern leaves known only to foxes. Don't worry if I can't afford to buy you coffee after school. Everything's going to be all right. Soon the poem will replace the pound sterling, and England will get on the poem standard again. Don't worry about those lunatics in the government. Everything's going to be all right. The country will be governed by beautiful girls under 18, and you will let me carry your portfolio home from the house. Don't worry about what happened the other night. Everything's going to be all right. They'll give you contraceptive pills shaped like jelly babies with your milk at playtime. Don't worry about what your dad says about the younger generation. Everything is going to be all right. There'll be involuntary euthanasia for everyone over 30, not a poet, painter or musician. Don't worry about the rain. Everything is going to be all right. The streets will be covered with tiny pink flowers like the ones on your suspender belt. Bathing suits will be banned from beaches. School uniforms will be the only kind allowed in public. Your end-of-term report will be marked out of 100 for sex appeal, and you will be top of the form. Policemen will be beaten up by poets. Trade unions will be taken over by workers. There'll be 24-hour licensing, and everything will be on the national drink service. Your parents will wake us every morning with breakfast. Your teacher will smile at notes saying we stayed in bed late. Your face will be in every art gallery, your name in every book of poetry, so don't worry. Everything is going to be all right. Classroom Blues for little Stevie Wonder and little Heather Wonder. I was sitting in my classroom the other day, feeling sad and lonely 'cause you were away. The world was my birthday, but I wasn't glad, 'cause without you, pretty baby, I'm so lonesome and sad. I call it pretty music, but the old people call it the blues. Don't know why we quarreled the other night. You know I love you, baby, and everything's alright. Don't know how it happened, but can't you see? It's always other people, baby, never you and me. That's why I call it pretty music, but the old people call it the blues. love is like a flower that must fade and die. When you press it in the book, baby, hang your head and cry. When you open that book, baby, another day, you'll take out that flower and you'll hear me say, I call it pretty music, but the old people call it the blues. Tonight, at noon, supermarkets will advertise threepence extra on everything. Tonight, at noon, children from happy families will be sent to live in a home. Elephants will tell each other human jokes. America will declare peace on Russia. World War I generals will sell puppies in the streets on November the 11th. The first daffodils of autumn will appear when the leaves fall upwards to the trees. Tonight, at noon, pigeons will hunt cats through city backyards. Hitler will tell us to fight on the beaches and on the landing fields. Tunnel full of water will be built under Liverpool. Pigs will be sighted flying information over Woolton, and Nelson will not only get his eye back but his arm as well. White Americans will demonstrate for equal rights in front of the Black House, and the monster has just created Dr. Frankenstein. Girls in bikinis and moonbathing. Folk songs are being sung by real folk. Art galleries are closed to people over 21. Poets get their poems in the top 20. Politicians are elected to insane asylums. There's jobs for everyone and nobody wants them. In back alleys everywhere, teenage lovers are kissing in broad daylight. In forgotten graveyards everywhere, the dead will quietly bury the living, and you will tell me you love me tonight at noon. Love is feeling cold in the back of vans. Love is a fan club with only 2 fans. Love is walking holding paint-stained hands. Love is. Love is fish and chips on winter nights. Love is blankets full of strange delights. Love is when you don't put out the light. Love is. Love is the present in Christmas shops. Love is when you're feeling top of the pops. Love is what happens when the music stops. Love is. Love is white panties lying all forlorn. Love is a pink nightdress still slightly warm. Love is when you have to leave at dawn. Love is. Love is you and love is me. Love is a prison and love is free. Love's what's there when you're away from me. Love is. When we meet in the moonlight's midnight hour, country girl, I will bring you night flowers, coloured like your eyes, in the moonlight, midnight hour. I remember your cold hand, held for a moment among strangers, held for a moment among dripping trees in the midnight hour. I remember Your eyes, coloured like the autumn landscape, walking down muddy lanes, watching sheep eating yellow roses, walking in city squares in winter rain, kissing in darkened hallways, walking in empty suburban streets, saying goodnight in deserted alleyways, in the midnight hour. Andy Williams singing, "We'll keep a welcome in the hillsides" for us when I meet you at the station. The Beatles singing, "We Can Work It Out" with James Ensor at the harmonium. Rita Hayworth in a nightclub singing "Amade Mia." I will send you armadas of love, vast argosies of flowers in the midnight hour, country girl. When we meet in the moonlight, midnight hour, country girl, I will bring you yellow, white, eyes bright, moonlight, midnight flowers, in the midnight hour, in the midnight hour.
The day before yesterday, as I was walking down Dale Street, a small man, a complete stranger, seeking to prove his existence through an intense traumatic experience, leapt off a bus and fired a bullet point blank into my forehead. It was terribly embarrassing. I stifled a scream and pulled my hat down over my eyes, but could not prevent the blood from ruining my new railbrick shirt and vertical striped Italian jacket with brass buttons. But the traffic stopped, and little boys took their hands out of their pockets, and little girls wet themselves, and old people were disgusted at the extraversial behaviour of this gentleman swaying and bleeding in good old Dale Street. It was terribly embarrassing. Not wanting to annoy people any further, I lurched through the crowd and stumbled into the Cardoma Cafe just down the road. The girl behind the counter was very nice when I ordered a coffee and ham roll, but explained that I was making a mess of the Danish pastries, and could I take my dripping carcass elsewhere. It was terribly embarrassing. I bubbled my apologies and followed a young gentleman who was about to heave up into the gentleman's, where unobtrusively, and with as little fuss as possible, I gave up the ghost. Mother, there's a strange man waiting at the door, with a familiar sort of face you feel you've seen before. Says his name is Jesus, can we give him half a crown? Says he's run out of miracles and now his luck is down. Yes, I think he is a foreigner, Egyptian or a Jew. Oh aye, and that reminds me, he'd like some water too. Well, shall I give him what he wants or send him on his way? All right, I give him 6pence, say that's all we got today. And I'll forget about the water. I suppose it's a little bit mean, but honest, he's filthy dirty, you don't know where he's been. Mother, he asked about the water, I said we hadn't got a cup. Anyway, I gave him a tanner, he really was made up. Said it was little things like that that kept him on the rails. Then he gave me his autographed picture and these 3 rusty nails. Mother, the wardrobe was full of infantrymen. I asked them, but they snarled, saying it was a man's life. Mother, there is a Centurion tank in the parlour. I asked the officer, but he laughed, saying Queen's regulations. Piano was out of tune anyway. Mother, polish your identity bracelet. There is a mushroom cloud in the back garden. I tried to bring in the cat, but it simply came to pieces in my hand. I tried to whitewash the windows, but there weren't any. I tried to hide under the stairs, but I couldn't get in for civil defence leaders. I tried ringing Candid Camera, but they crossed their hearts. I went for a policeman, but they were looting the town. I went for a fire engine, but they were all upside down. I went for a priest, but they're all on their knees. Mother, don't just lie there, say something, please. Mother, don't just lie there, say something, please. At lunchtime, a story of love. When the bus stopped suddenly to avoid damaging a mother and child in the road, the young lady in the green hat sitting opposite was thrown across me, and not being one to miss an opportunity, I started to make love. At first she resisted, saying it was too early in the morning and too soon after breakfast, and anyway she found me repulsive. But when I explained that this being a nuclear age, the world was going to end at lunchtime, she took off her green hat, put her bus ticket in her pocket, and joined in the exercise. The bus people, and there were many of them, were shocked and surprised and amused and annoyed. But when the word got around, the world was coming to an end at lunchtime, they put their pride in their pockets with their bus tickets and made love one with the other. And even the bus conductor, being over, climbed into the cab and struck up some sort of relationship with the driver. That night on the bus coming home, we were all a little embarrassed, especially me and the young lady in the green hat, and we all started to say in different ways how hasty and foolish we had been. But then, always having been a bit of a lad, I stood up and said it was a pity that the world didn't nearly end every lunchtime, and that we could always pretend. And then it happened. Quick as a crash, we all changed partners, and soon the bus was aquiver with white mothballed bodies doing naughty things, and the next day, in every bus, in every street, in every town, in every country, people pretended that the world was coming to an end at lunchtime. It still hasn't, although in a way it has.
Poem dedicated to Allen Ginsberg, called Mrs. Albion, You've Got a Lovely Daughter. Albion's most lovely daughter sat on the banks of the Mersey, dangling her landing stage in the water. The daughters of Albion, arriving by underground at Central Station, eating hot Eccles cakes at the pierhead, writing "Billy Blake is fab" on a wall in Matthew Street, taking off their navy blue school drawers and putting on nylon panties, ready for the night. The daughters of Albion see the moonlight beating down them in Bebington, throw away their chewing gum ready for the good-night kiss, sleep in the dinner-time sunlight with old men looking up their skirts in St. John's Gardens, comb their dark blonde hair in suburban bedrooms, powder their delicate little nipples, wondering if tonight will be the night. Their bodies pressed into dresses or sweaters, lavender at the cabin or pink at the sink. The daughters of Albion, wondering how to explain why they didn't go home. The daughters of Albion, taking the dawn ferry to tomorrow, worrying about what happened, worrying about what hasn't happened, lacing up blue sneakers over brown ankles, fastening up brown stockings to blue suspender belts. Beautiful boys with bright red guitars in the spaces in between the stars, reeling and a rockin', wishin' and a hopin', kissin' and a prayin', lovin' and a layin'. Mrs. Albion, you've got a lovely daughter. Car Crash Blues, or old Adrian Henri's talking, interminable, surrealistic blues. You make me feel like someone drove me into a wall, baby. You make me feel like Sunday night at the village hall, baby. You make me feel like a desert rat. You make me feel like a postman's hat. You make me feel like I've been swept under the mat, baby. You make me feel like something from beyond the grave, baby. You make me feel like Woolworth's aftershave, baby. You make me feel like a drunken nun. You make me feel like the war's begun. You make me feel like I'm being underdone, baby. You make me feel so young. You make me feel like I'm covered in dung. You make me feel like a Wellington full of blood, baby. You make me feel like my clothes are made of wood, baby. You make me feel like a green shield stamp. You make me feel like an army camp. You make me feel like a bad attack of cramp, baby. You make me feel so young. You make me feel like my springs have been sprung. You make me feel like a limestone quarry, baby. You make me feel like a corporation lorry, baby. You make me feel like a hideous saw. You make me feel like a hardware store. You make me feel like something spilt on the floor, baby. You make me feel like last week's knickers, baby. You make me feel like two consenting vicars, baby. You make me feel like an overgrown garden. You make me feel like a traffic warden. You make me feel like General Gordon, baby. Like a hunchback's hump, like a petrol pump, like the girl on the ledge that's afraid to jump, like the garbage truck with a heavy load on, baby. Adrian Henri's Last Will and Testament. No one owns life, but anyone who can pick up a frying pan owns death. William Burroughs. To whom it may concern, as my imminent death is hourly expected these days, car brakes screaming on East Lancs tarmac, trapped in a blazing cinema, mutely screaming, "I told you so," from melting eyeballs as a white-hot fireball dissolves a cathedral, being the first human being to die of a hangover, dying of over-emotion after seeing 20 schoolgirls waiting at a zebra crossing, I appoint Messrs. Bakunin and Kropotkin my executors, and make the following provisions. 1. I leave my priceless collections of Victorian oil lamps, photographs of Haley Mills, brass fenders and Charlie Mingus records, to all Liverpool poets under 23 who are also blues singers and failed sociology students. 2. I leave the entire East Lancs Road with its landscapes to the British people. 3. I hereby appoint William Burroughs my literary executor, instructing him to cut up my collected works and distribute them throughout the public lavatories of the world. 4. Proceeds from the sale of relics, locks of hair, pieces of floorboards I have stood on, fragments of bone, flesh, teeth, bits of old underwear, etc., to be given to my widow. 5. I leave my paintings to the nation, with the stipulation that they must be exhibited in public houses, chip shops, coffee bars and cellar clubs throughout the country. 6. Proceeds from the sale of my other effects to be divided equally among the 20 most beautiful schoolgirls in England, these to be chosen after due deliberation and exhaustive tests by an informal committee of my friends. Signed, Adrian Henri, January 1964, witnessed this day by James Ensor and Charlie Yardbird Parker.